Right, change a habit of a lifetime, I feel.
Exactly. Right. It says I'm up and running live here. I don't know if is it on for anyone.
Well,
Let me
off
refresh
YouTube.
the
So I'm looking at it on the PS4.
Advert on,
Yeah, it's
so
on now.
that looks good.
Let's have a look.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just giving notification on watch now, so I'm guessing it's on.
It's on now.
Yeah, it's on.
Are we happy? We're on now.
There we go. We're on. We're on.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, then here we are again. Once again, SAFC Fan TV. The lads are back on to hopefully answer your questions. In the house, we got Dino, Michael, the Mad Mistake. I've got Sean, Jacob, and myself, Wee Philly. If you have got anything you'd like to ask us, stick it in the live chat, and we'll do our best to answer it for you. Same score if you want to bring up a subject you'd like us to talk about. We're here to do that for you as well. In the week, we did have Sean put it out on our social media to ask anyone if you wanted to ask us a question. We would do that as well. So we're going to start with Sean. Fire away then any questions you might have had on our social media this week.
Right, cheers, Billy. Right, first question is from Scowen is Magic. Yes, he says, is if you could go to the moon with one Sunderland legend, who would it be with and why? Philly, you can go first.
Well, me, it would definitely be the Mad Mistake, the most entertaining man we have on our panel here. And the thing is, he's as old as I am, so we could talk about things and would have things in common. So there you go. Definitely, if I had to be on the moon with a Sunderland legend, it would definitely be him up there, the Mad Mistake, definitely without a doubt.
Dino?
I'd say Nick Pickering for the simple fact I know the bloke, and he's the only Sunderland player I actually know in real life, and he plays golf, and it'd be kind of fun to have golf on the moon. So,
Jacob?
I'll go for Super Kenwyn Jones because you can do somersaults with him in zero gravity in midair.
My mistake.
Looks like I'm going with Philly.
Hey!
So he takes cousin with him, it's all right.
Last but not least, Michael Bowers.
If I provide that the moon has a back garden, I'll take Jamsani with us. What a boy.
Right, well, I'm going to see Brian Clough because I just think he just would make you laugh for the all the time. Like he was with you, and he was an absolute legend as well, and I absolutely loved the bloke. He had a character, and he just so smart as well, and like you just have a bowels of laugh at that bloke. Like so, Brian Clough, like
Good job.
right. So, jump into question 2. This is from Umar MacMFC. He basically asked, who would not eat anything for the whole day, like fasting, yeah, from 4 a.m. in the morning till 9 p.m. out of the 6 of us, who would most likely do it? He reckons me, but I'll ask you first, Philly.
I'll jump in there. I've done it because I've done every single diet going, and I've done something they call the 5-2 diet, where you fast for 2 days of the 7, right, and 5 days you can eat. On the 5 days you can eat more or less whatever you want, but you fast on 2 of those days. So I used to fast on a Thursday and I think it was a Sunday, something like that. And to be honest, it's not that difficult when you set your mind to it. You can do it, and then and it sort of works. It's not my best diet, but yeah, I can do it. So I know I'm capable of doing that. Who I would say definitely wouldn't be able to do it would probably Dino. Could probably not go 24 hours without eating. Shocking. I want Dino. I'm only footing, mate.
that's shocking, that.
Dino?
I wouldn't take that, Dino.
Who I reckon could do it? I reckon probably Terry.
Not a chance. Not a chance. The only way I was fasting last night. I was flying around the fields and I was running. That's the only way I'll be fasting. I've got a cream egg right here. That's how much of a pig I am. I love my food. I eat all day long.
Jacob?
It'll be tough because I do like my food, but yeah, I reckon I could do it. I mean, you think there's a lot of people who are like starving in the world right now, who are just like dying for food, who just like can get very little, like in some like very poor countries. So yeah, I'd think of those people when I do it. So yeah, I reckon I'd back myself to do something like that.
Michael?
Definitely not me. I love my food too much. I'm saying this as he's eating, but I probably would say Terry because I think Terry could occupy himself for the good part of it. The good part of a day, just go on a long run or just bounce around the house. He doesn't need food for energy. Terry's got enough of that in abundance.
My mistake.
Nom, 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 nom.
Biscreamo, ducking.
Yeah.
Right, anyway. If I was to pick somebody, I was actually going to pick Philly. Because I know he's been dieting quite a lot lately. I don't think I could do it. Like, personally, I think I get very miserable after a few hours. If I had no food, I start getting really like
Sean,
snappy
you're
and-
miserable regardless if you've eaten or not.
Jack Ross testifying to that.
But it's funny how Omar says that he thought I could do it, and I'm just like, I let him know now I couldn't do it. Like, but I reckon if all of us, I reckon Philly's the man. Like, definitely. My mistake. What do you reckon?
Nobody? Nah, nobody.
No.
Just nobody.
Obviously, Phil's just also Phil can do it again, can't he?
Yeah, but it's whether I would choose to do it again. Let me quickly jump in there then, because we've had a question come through on our top chat. I don't know if you've noticed it. I saw it today on social media about Peter Farrer, the taxi driver off Sun Until I Die.
Nice.
Obviously, he was sent a load of River Plate merchandise over, and because he's now a big hit over in over in Argentina. Apparently, they want to fly him over there and go and meet everybody because of sort of a River Plate of taking him under their wing. What does everybody think about that, and why? On top of that, we'll ask why the question. Why wasn't the mad mistake with his 7-second appearance on Series 2? Why wasn't he asked to go to Argentina? Anybody?
I think there'll be nobody going to Argentina for at least 2 years.
Yeah.
Not at this point, no. I don't know. Maybe you've got to be on for a number of minutes to gain that status. So, Mad, keep up your appearances, mate, for season 3. You need to have like a fun.
Will there be a season 3? Or is that it?
Free.
Yeah, whenever it gets made. Whenever it gets made.
I don't want it to get made at the minute, Michael.
So, well, anyway,
Yeah,
well, it looks like it's a good thing what's come out of that for him, I suppose. If and we do get we get people messaging the channel now from Argentina saying they've watched it. So it's only a good thing, the fact that it's getting Sunderland AFC known all around the world because of the series on Netflix. It can only be a good thing.
Yes.
Pick
So
up the
Sean,
RGs, look what I'm reading.
what's that? Jacob, what do you have to say?
Messi's autobiography, absolutely brilliant at the moment. Very top read.
Thanks for that, Jacob. Thank you very much. I'll get myself down the library when it opens. Right. I suppose really the elephant in the room, Stuart Donald. And at this, a few days ago, of course, it came out in the papers, didn't they, about this, about the £20 million black hole. I'll be honest, I've been up to the eyeballs and I haven't had chance to really look in depth about it all. So if anybody wants to start and give their opinion on it, I know Sean, I'm sure you'll have a great opinion on it. So do you want to kick us off?
Well, basically, first of all, we don't know if it's exactly true, but if it is true, then the man hasn't got a leg to stand on, really. I mean, you know, it seems to be lies after lies after lies, and I think this is sort of like the tip of the iceberg, really. If he's taking the club's money, and he's not going to now, effectively, he doesn't have to give it back. Do you know what I mean? So if he's sort of pinched the club's money, you know what I mean? I think it's Spain saying now that he has actually used the parachute payments to play for the club. Now I was talking to Johnny on SAFC Fan TV overnight, saying that he paid a deposit of 5 million, and then it was paid in installments very short. But if he's used the club's money to pay for the club, and he's not going to pay it back, then you know what I mean. He's just left himself wide open, and I think he's a disgrace, personally speaking. And I come out a day later and put on the SAFC website saying that we weren't in debt. He was going to pay the money back, but he's got to say them things. He's got to like come back and say something. But if he's, you know, in the day he has been found out, and it looks like he's trying to, you know, do one over the club, and he's a disgrace for that. And I'll be interested to hear what Dino and Michael say about this. So
well,
should be interesting.
For me, and again, it's I'm fairly limited on what I've read into it, so it's not that I want to say too much because. You know, if I was to have an opinion on it, I'd like to be able to back it up with well, as much of the facts as I could grasp myself. I would like to think that, I mean, if he has taken this money and used it to buy the club, and then he sold the club, and then he runs off with the money, then yeah, it's shocking. He can't be doing that. However, again, you've got to look at it from all angles. You know, paper talk. It's, I suppose, down to who you believe. Keep saying about this 5-year plan. We're only 2 years in. You know, what happens if he is genuine, right? And he has got a 5-year plan. And part of this, what's happened is part of the 5-year plan. You know, then, you know, should we not be giving him then 5 years to then go, well, there you go, that was the plan. However, you know, if he is pulling a fast one, then we can't afford to give him that extra time. I don't know. It's down to who you believe, really. Mad Mistake, what do you think about it all?
Needs to find a buyer as soon as possible. That's my opinion. That's all I'm going to say about it. End of the day, is we don't know exactly what's going on and what his intentions are. You know, everyone has an opinion, whether he's a chancer, whether he's not a chancer. Whether he's trying to make a fast buck. Obviously, he's not very fast, is it? It's going to take a long time to make money now. But I don't know. I think we should just sell the club as soon as possible, find a good buyer, if it's possible to find a good buyer. And now will somebody want to come and buy the club if it's a black hole of 20 million? So we'll have to wait and see. I'm not going to slag the bloke off. You know, end of the day, there's bigger things in the world to worry about. But when the coronavirus situation's all over and done with, I'm sure it'll all come out the washing.
So, Michael, what do you think then?
It's a mixture of things, really. It obviously does depend on who you believe, and it's actually quite funny, and this is something that's actually hurt me a little bit. Whenever an article comes out that's against Donald, like say the Daily Mail is, and let's be honest, the Daily Mail has had a bit of a questionable reputation, but the second it's anti-Donald, people are very keen to believe it. So, and yet beforehand they weren't. So that to me makes full sense. Having said that, though, if Donald has done that and he has persisted, he has pulled the wool over our eyes with that, and I do stress if this is true, because although you could argue the fact they haven't published the accounts would suggest there's something to hide. If it is true, I can't defend Donald for that, because that's just, well, yeah, it's not a good look, is it? I've stated before, I still believe Donald saved the club, and I still partially stand by that, but I can't really stand by it as much because of this, because again, just because Donald might pull the wool over our eyes doesn't mean the state we were in before he came was desirable, because I'm prepared to bet we would have possibly gone into administration. You know, I know Sean might disagree on that. That's just, it's by its opinions, but for me, the state of the club was just horrendous. But to be honest, at this point, I respect anyone's opinion who obviously says that, you know, if they think Donald's a chance or they want him out, obviously, I just expect to be respected in return. But to be honest, I'm getting quite sick of talking about Donald now. I think I just want the sale to go through, because I'm getting sick of this squabbling over Donald now. That's it.
Yeah.
Jacob, then.
I've got a question for all of you lot, actually. Do you think the way how, because they put a statement on the club's website this week, like answering questions about the recent rumours that have come out about like whether Donald's used the parachute payments, do you think it's a little bit poor how they've used just yes and no answers without giving like any more added detail into like the questions that's been put forward by the fans?
Yeah, it doesn't sit well that much. I must admit that seems a very generic response. It's just like Madrox has just put out. It's very hearted answer, very half-assed for me.
Anybody? All right then. Well,
Philly.
Go on.
Jacob and Daniel didn't give answer the question. The questions around Donald.
Right, go on then, Jacob. What do you think?
Yeah. Basically, if the rumours are true about him taking the parachute payments, I think it's completely unacceptable. But I do agree in what Bowers is saying. Like, I think the sale of the club just needs to go through as soon as possible. But how do you expect the process to be speeded up in the times that we're in at the moment? It's the same with obviously Newcastle trying to get their ownership over the line as well. It's just like really bad for football at the minute. But as I was saying before, I think it's just like poor on the behalf of the club how they've used, like in the response to the recent rumours about Stuart Donald using this parachute money, how they've just responded to certain questions by the fans by just giving yes or no answers without giving any like added detail onto the answers to those questions.
All right then. Dino, what do you think? Here we go.
Well, I don't know why everyone's pulling their hair about him using the parachute payments, because I'm sure he did, when his first ever interview, say he's paying Ella Short with the parachute payments for the club. So everyone's losing the shit about it. But I'm sure in his first ever interview, he actually said that's how he was paying for the club, but no one had a problem with that. Now people have a problem with it. But obviously, he was supposed to make that money back through obviously hopefully getting promoted and then probably selling it on. You know how things work. But Ella Short, he said he had a contract with Ella Short that he's definitely going to get paid the money in instalments. And if that's how you've got to pay for a club, fair enough. Not everyone has 40 million just lying about. I mean, we all knew Stuart Donald was coming from Eastleigh, or was it Eastleigh at Oxford? He had shares in Oxford and Eastleigh.
Eastleigh.
So we all knew where he was coming from, and everyone must have been optimistic for the simple fact we sold so many season tickets. We had 30,000 in the ground. And now, because we didn't get promoted one season, there was 2 games where we could have won the Checker Trade and went up, and we didn't, we bottled it. Everyone's jumping on Stuart Donald's back, even though it was the team of players and the manager and stuff like that.
He appointed Ross to one thing, didn't he? He appointed Ross and he appointed Parkinson.
But I've always said to you though, Sean, who else was there to get? There was no one else to get. Who would want to come to a club where we were just relegation? And then we had 8 players. We had 8 players at the start of the season.
Do you know, if I was looking for a manager and that was a fresh start, I wouldn't be looking in Scotland, yes, put it that way. Because, you know what I mean? If I was looking for a manager, I wouldn't be looking in Scotland.
But the funny thing is, do you know, if we won the Checker Trade and then we got promoted, you wouldn't have been saying that. That's the thing. It's all ifs and buts. You wouldn't have said that if we got promoted because of 2 games where, let's be fair, the players bottled it as well, just as much as the manager. I mean, the players bottled it.
No, Dino, I didn't like Ross from about November. I could see that he wasn't the right man from about there. So even if he got promoted, I would change the manager because he wouldn't have done that nothing in the championship. He would have, you know,
possibly. No way. You saying that though, most fans were behind Ross until probably about the end of the season. And to be honest, like, I know what you mean. Stuart Donald did appoint those guys, but at the end of the day, and I keep saying this over and over again, it doesn't mean that Ross and the players are absolved of responsibility. Just because people can't just go, oh well, we're not going to blame them because Donald was the one who appointed them. At the end of the day, Ross, you said yourself, Ross had a good enough squad to get promoted, and that's not on Stuart Donald. And the players had the chance. Have the chance to get promoted. That's not on Donald. That's on the player manager.
But you know what? You're speaking for Donald, but he's not to criticise Ross or the players. Well, that's, you know what I mean.
All right.
A key example.
Well, yeah. I know you
the manager. what baffles me is, like, you keep saying that the team was good enough last season. Don't forget we started the season with 8 players. 8 players, so I don't understand why people thought we were going to win the league. We had 8 players, we didn't even have a squad. And then you go on about gelling, getting the right players in and all that. So imagine how hard that season was going to be from the very, very start. So to think we're going to get promoted is nonsense.
But to be fair, though, not really, because we were in the top 2 for a good about 2/3 of that season, or at least pushing near the top 2, and we faded away. We started the season at the end of August. We were in the top 2. In November, we were in the top 2. You know, like start of April, we were in the top 2.
Well, we're in the top 2 though. Wasn't there not a stat saying that we were the only team who was not in the top 2? We're never in the top 2. We're always playoffs.
I'm sure
we weren't
top 2 at some point.
We were. I think it was definitely weren't top for a lot. We're in the top 2 for half the season. Well,
I think we got second. I think we're second for a little while, but like, see, we're going in positions. But Jack Ross, his negativity just kept on costing us big time in big games, trying to rely on 1-0 leads and this, that, and the other.
I do agree, John.
And Flanagan at the back. Do you know what I mean? I kind of get where Sean's coming from. That maybe Donald could have got rid of Ross last summer. That I'll agree with Sean on. I think it's probably in hindsight the wrong decision to keep him.
All right, Jacob, are you wanting to be in there?
Yeah, I've got. So, when I think, touching what Sean said about appointing an inexperienced manager for League One and Jack Ross, obviously I do agree what Dino's saying. He did have 8 players to start with, but it's what you do throughout the season. And I think at times he just lacked experience as the season went on in key decisions on how to turn things around. Obviously losing his top goal scorer didn't help, but I don't know if you remember when it was Wolverhampton Wanderers, I think, in 2013. In 2012, they went down into the Championship, and then in 2012, they suffered double relegations as well. They went down into League One. The only season in League One, they went out and got a very experienced manager for that league in Kenny Jackett, and he got them up at the very first attempt. So I think potentially we could look back on could we have gone for a more experienced man to get us out of League One at the very first attempt? I mean, I don't know what you think about this.
All right, just very quickly, let me jump in there then, because Zelda Freak 892 has put in the chat down here saying, am I right saying that Donald categorically denied buying the club with the parachute money? I'm sure he did. Dino, are you saying that was not true?
What's that?
Well, Zelda Freak on here has said they think that Donald categorically denied buying the club with the parachute money.
I'm positive on his first ever interview. I'd have to look back to see if there's a quote, but I'm sure he said, I'm paying it in installments with the parachute money. I'm sure that's what he said.
No, Dino, he didn't say that. He didn't say that. He said, I've paid a deposit and I'll pay him in installments. He didn't say anything about the parachute payments.
I'm sure he said. I'm sure he said one of the parachute payments will be going to Ellis Short. I'm sure he said one of them because we're owed 2. I'm sure.
All right, hang on a sec. My mistake. Is it still sunny outside?
It is.
All right, then. Just let me quickly jump in then. We did have on our Twitter, Newcastle Fans TV, who we do, obviously Sean did an article with them on Monday, and we have played them at five-a-side. And to be fair, a canny set of lads. We're asking the question, how much are we not wanting their takeover to happen? I don't want to get into that side of things, really. But what I would say is everything what's going on with Stuart Donald, and if their sale does go through, right, how would everybody feel if Mike Ashley bought the club then? Dino, go on, you might as well start us off.
If you look at it in hindsight, right, did Mike Ashley, Sean brought this up on, I watched the Newcastle Fan TV interview, it was actually really quite interesting, to be honest. And he did make the point, did Mike Ashley actually do a bad job? Not find 2 relegations, but Ellis Short had 2 relegations. He did get them back up for the first time asking, investing in the team. Fine, they weren't the Newcastle fans wanted more from Mike Ashley to get them up the league. But,
Well,
I mean, like, that's not what Mike Ashley's about. I'm not being
see,
funny.
for me with it, you see, when Mike Ashley went when Mike Ashley went into Newcastle, pack it in, man. Oh man, when
I'll see much
when Mike Ashley bought Newcastle. Newcastle were in a dreadful financial state, and possibly on the verge of going bust. And at the end of the day, what he's done financially with the club, I mean, Newcastle are one of the few clubs in the black, and when he does go, they're actually not in debt. And there's very few clubs, even in the Premiership, are like that. So from that point of view, it can get you on a stable footing, financially stable and that. But for me personally, I wouldn't have a problem with him coming in. It's how far you want to go. Would it? Well, anybody else?
I don't think he would want to come.
You don't think?
I don't think he'd want to come because you're in League One, you've got no guarantee of going up and then going up again. He's got to put money in, and you might not get anything back out.
Right.
It's a big risk.
But for me, how I see it is, he's very much. I think once the Newcastle fans turned on him, I think he was very stubborn. He owned the club and he didn't need the money, and I think he did things to go, to piss them off, really. And I think him then coming into Sunderland, maybe trying to do something to stick two fingers up at them if he did a decent job with us as an incentive. I don't know. I mean, my personal opinion, I wouldn't have a problem with him coming here. I know that'll go against the grain with a lot of people. Jacob, what do you think?
But I think it's like it will be absolute poison if he's brought in as our owner. I mean, like some of the stuff I think it was only 2 interviews he did, like to address the fan base in his entire time at the club. And I think the problem fans had with him there is the fact he promised them one thing, there was months and then there was like going into the transfer, when the transfer window dropped, they hardly bought anyone. And in terms of from what, especially when they got in like a few of the managers in his time, apparently there was rumours like they had no say on the transfers that were brought in. Ashley brought in like his own sort of recruitment team to make the transfers for the team. And like there's an interview when Kevin Keegan was there in his second spell, he said like he didn't have a problem with Ashley at all. It was the people like who were surrounding him. And like he brought in a guy called, was it Derek Lambias, Dennis Wise, he brought in as well. And like they had like a list of transfer targets they were going to get like to move the club to that next direction. But Ashley went completely against that. And then they brought in, I remember when like his first proper season as chairman, they got in 2 players. I think one of them was Cisco, who had not played he not kicked a ball for 2 years. And like they had a list of transfer targets they wanted to get. But I think even one of them was Luka Modric at one stage. And this Derek Lambias chap said that he was good, but he was not good enough for the Premier League. So Keegan was like, I'm having none of this. And he walked out.
Yeah, but
it's about the people who actually bring in.
But Jacob, it's no different to a club appointing a director of football and going down that route. It's I mean, some clubs go down that route and some don't, and I don't think it's any different to that. Mad Mistake, you seem to have an opinion on Mike Ashley.
I'm just having a bit of a bit fun, a bit of laugh. Isn't Stuart Donald the same as Mike Ashley though? Isn't Stuart Donald? Did Jack Ross have any say in who came into the club? Did he want Will Grigg? Or did
he said he did.
But I am Will Grigg, 16 million, I think. Didn't Jack Ross say don't get Will Grigg?
Well, Jack Ross said, Jack Ross said, he wasn't banging on his door to say go and get him, and Stuart Donald had always maintained that Jack Ross would put a list of players together, tell him who he wanted, and they would do their best to get it. Now, again, barring the Will Grigg situation, but I think we mentioned this last week or the week before, about had Stuart Donald not got Will Grigg in that last minute deal, everybody would have been calling for his head because we were desperate for a striker. And I think every Sunderland fan, when they said we've got Will Grigg, when it came up on the transfer deadline day, was jumping about, celebrating because we've got, one of the best strikers in the lower divisions, really. And it just, so you were damned if you did, damned if you didn't, I think, really.
I mean, take away from the fact that Mike Ashley's a complete twat, right? What he does with sports directing and all that, different story altogether, right?
Yeah.
But what has he actually done wrong at Newcastle? He's kept them in the Premier League, hasn't done an Ellis Short, hasn't done a Stuart Donald. We're down in League One. So apart from that, Newcastle, they're going to have to win the Premier League before their fans are actually happy about Mike Ashley. So they probably will get the way eventually with this new owner coming in. But I don't even think Mike Ashley would even buy Sunderland anyway, to be honest.
No, I agree.
Sean, what do you think then? Mike Ashley.
Well, I wouldn't be against getting Ashley because, like you see, when he took over Newcastle 13 years ago, they were in debt. And what he did was he paid the debt off. And then he just put that value into the club. So when obviously eventually sells the club, the club is debt free. And each year, Newcastle has made a profit each year. You know what I mean? Where us have been making losses for the last 6, 7, 8 years under Ellis Short. Like Ashley, he's bought players. He's bought players in for cheap. And they sell them on for big fees. And now that's probably what's rattled the Geordies up because he's done that. And the fact that they're still living in the mid-90s when they had a couple of seasons where they were close to win the Premier League. But I mean, apart from that little spell they had in the mid-90s, you know what I mean? I just think they sometimes live in a deluded world, and I think they just no matter what happens, Newcastle fans will never be happy. They'll always expect more. Maybe if the owners are coming for them, it'll just be perfect because they'll spend money like it's kind of a fashion, but then it doesn't guarantee success. You know what I mean? But for me, I think Ashley will be a good appointment, but I don't think it'll happen.
Right then. So, Mike Ashley.
It was quite good listening to everyone else, but I still get to hear all the different bits. There's a few things. I'm just going to piggyback a little bit off what Sean said. I've always found it frustrating. I know this seems unrelated, but I promise you it is. I've always kind of found it very frustrating when, I've always made the argument Sunderland fans deserve better, and everyone keeps going on to me about, no, you need to realise where you are. You need to realise you're in League One. But yet the narrative with the mainstream media is that with Newcastle fans, who I do believe do deserve a bit better than Ashley, by the way. I can understand why they're frustrated, but there's always the narrative that they deserve better, yet we don't. And it's like, well, hang on a minute. They're in a better position than we are. So as far as Ashley's concerned, I think obviously getting relegated twice isn't a good thing. And I can understand from their frustration that they were competing in the champion, competing for at least for Europe, if not the Champions League. But that's the thing. If we have to get used to the fact we're in League One, they need to get used to the fact they're not there anymore. So having said that, though, I disagree a little bit with the idea that Ashley in League One. I don't think Ashley would buy us. I think I could see him doing it if we were in the Championship because you're only one league away from and obviously you'd have to put money into it. It is a gamble, but that's every aspect of football is a gamble when you look at it these days. Ashley should see Sunderland if we were in the Championship as a big investor. Should get it at a fairly decent price, even if Donald was asking for 50-60 million. That's peanuts compared to what you could pay for other clubs. If you get promoted and then you stabilise, you can easily get a majority of that money back. Would I take him? If you offered me him now, I would take him just to get the Premier League, but then I'd want to get shot of him because I don't think he would show any ambition. I think he would say, because I've always complained when we were in the Premier League, and I still believe rightly, that we just settled for fourth bottom all the time and didn't try to do any more. And that's what I think Ashley would probably end up doing. So maybe that's why Newcastle fans are frustrated with him. So I would take him to get the Prem. The problem is if you were to get the Prem, though, that's when he's hardest to shift because TV money,
Yeah, I suppose so. Right, just very quickly, I want to give some shout-outs down here and try and include the people in the chat. David Bell apparently is asking, Dino, is your heating knackered?
No.
No, it's just
That was on. It's always on.
No, it's always off now. We can't afford to keep it on, apparently. So, as most of us can't, seeing as we don't have an income coming in. David Scrivenger, why don't we get the River Plate owners to buy us off Donald? Because apparently they fell in love with our club. Good point, I suppose. So there you go. All right then, it's Bobby Cowley is asking everybody's opinion on Mikel Mandron. Of course, it's been in the news that we can have him back on a free. Apparently, anybody?
He's
Sean?
got Charlie White, so they're win straight away.
What was that, Michael?
He's not Charlie White, so therefore he's a win straight away.
So you'd have him straight back, Sean?
There's worse options.
No. I mean, there's worse options, like as Michael said. But for me, I think that's a massive issue for us going forward. Anyway, a striker. We need a striker. And I know Mandron scored a couple of goals against us recently, and I think but his record hasn't been great either. So no, for me, a nice going for free as well. But no, for me.
Jacob, then, what do you think?
Well, it's a worrying sign when we're linked with free transfers and a player that's playing for a club that's in mid-table of League One. We need to look more out of the box, but I don't think we're in the position to do that at the moment. But it's just I don't know how we can plan for transfers at the moment, because it's just with the whole stuff that's going on. But I mean, whether the game restarts and then the window opens again, who knows? But yeah, at the moment, planning is just a complete shutdown when it comes to transfers, I think.
Right, so Dino, you had a say on this yet?
Nah, you've just asked us.
Mate, I'm trying to watch the chat. I'm trying to get some questions. Sorry, mate. Go on.
Right, for Michael Mandron, I look at it this way, right? Charlie White, useless, unfortunately, even though he's a nice bloke. Craig, done nothing. I think he's going to be gone. Michael Mandron, I'm sure has scored more goals than them two combined. So when you look at it that way,
Apparently he's only got 3 goals. I think I looked at his stats for this season earlier.
3 is that? I'm sure that's more than White, and I'm sure that's more than Craig.
It's definitely more than Craig.
I think he's quicker than both of them. Bring him in for a backup. We need a backup. I mean, we've given Charlie White and Greg a season, 2 season and a half, and they've done nothing. They're clearly not going to cut it for us. So we need something new. Mandron's got a bit of pace. He scored 2 against us. So why not? Why not give him a try? We're not exactly flooded with options at the minute, are we?
My mistake.
I'm going to ask Mickey the Monkey. Should we bring in Michael Mandron? Maybe we should do, I think. Give him a little trial, give him a go. There you go. The monkey says yes, we'll give him a trial, see how it goes.
All right, so he says yeah. All right, just quickly on this then. Malcolm, have we asked you, Sean, did we ask you on that?
Yeah.
Sorry, all right, mate, sorry. Malcolm Thorpe. Hiya, Malcolm. I know Malcolm. Apparently, Stuart Donald said he was paying 40 million, right, for the club, and the parachute was to go to short because he wrote off the debt. So that parachute payment was supposed to go to short, and Stuart Donald was paying 40 million for the club. So that sort of seems to ring true as I remember it.
I think he said something like that.
Yeah, Wearside Mackems. Chris Coleman has been bandied about, obviously, in the news. Would we have Chris Coleman back at Sunderland if Parkinson got sacked? Would we give him another go? Dino?
No, I think after the only person I wanted back at the time was Roy Keane, and I think getting Chris Coleman back would just bring back memories of the championship season. I just think we need something new. I don't believe in going back for old managers really, but I would have had Keane back at the time because I think he was just a right fit for the club at the time. But I just don't think Coleman's the man, to be honest.
Michael? No. Anytime you want, man.
And I think Coleman obviously has charisma, and I do at least like the fact that he at least showed it a bit on something like that, even though that's a documentary. You know, you're going to put your best foot forward on camera, aren't you? So, I've made it clear. I felt that Coleman should have done more with what he had, but I also think that if you gave him an atmosphere and a crowd and a bunch of footballers that weren't so disruptive, and half of them clearly weren't interested, like it was in the Championship season, God knows what. But at this point, we're probably going to stick with Parkinson anyway. So, I probably wouldn't take him back.
My mistake.
Well, I did like him. He was a canny bloke, and he seemed probably a decent manager, but like he didn't get much help. Like Michael says, from the players, didn't get much help from the board, to be honest. So, but like you can't, I don't like going back on old managers as well. Like someone just said, but I want to give Carl Stewart a shout out. My mate Carl Stewart watching the live stream now. Enjoy. But no, I wouldn't go back with Chris Coleman.
Sean?
No, basically the fact that he had 28 games to keep us up, and I've said this many times, and Michael agreed, that squad was good enough to stay up. I don't care what anybody says. Like if you're an half-decent manager, you get the best out of shit players. Coleman, nice bloke, lovely bloke in fact, but just wasn't getting the best out of the players. I know the players have bad attitudes, this, that and the other. But there was enough in that squad to keep us up, 100%. So
did we go down bottom of that? Did we go down bottom?
Yeah.
I don't understand how you can say that team was good enough but we finished bottom. If you finish bottom, you finish bottom. It shows the team was the worst team in the league. It's my opinion.
Shouldn't have finished below Burton Albion, Barnsley, Bolton Wanderers. Bolton didn't spend any money, got promoted. That there was enough in that squad to stay up. I don't know how.
Yeah, 28 games. 28 games, and I think
he played negative football as well.
Yeah, he did.
So didn't do it. So, but I will say, at least he's a married man with 6 kids.
What's that got to do with it?
Philly.
Yes, Sean.
I've got one more question off the 3, yeah?
Well, then, hang on. Let's let Jacob have his say.
Yeah, I don't think that Chris Coleman, not for me to come back. I just feel like we had a good enough squad to stay up that season. Like, yeah, he grounded out a few. I think he picked up 5 wins in the end, which is still very poor when you look at his whole record. But like, even when there were games where you might have thought we played well, he still played like really negative football. Like he would play at times McGeady in the middle. He would leave like Ashley Fletcher up on his own, even though he couldn't hit a barn door. Like defensively, we just seemed so happy for 90 minutes. Even when we were on top, we were just inviting pressure, and like there wasn't really any like attacking ambition from Chris Coleman, who was manager. I don't think.
Hang on.
Right, okay then, Sean. What's you got another question here?
It's from Jotchin Class 1 on Twitter. What do you guys obviously think of the financial revisions of the club, and are you worried that we could go bust? Do you not?
It's a hard one, really, isn't it? Will we go bust? According, this is the most. I don't know how to put this into words. Actually, this is the best financial we've ever been for a long time. So I don't understand how we can go bust when this is the best financially we've ever been. This is according to Stuart Donald. So how can we go bust if this is the best financially we've ever been?
No, but they know our wage bill's over 10 million. The parachute payments have finished now, so we've got the only form of income is Sky TV, which is 1.5 million, and then season ticket sales and sponsorship deals. So that's why I get worried a little bit.
But how can the wage be 10 million when most of the players aren't even on 5k probably?
Because you got McGeady. Well, you have McGeady. You still pay McGeady's wages. Apparently, cut them all. There's a couple others as well.
But have the club not furloughed the staff? Haven't they done that?
Yeah,
So really, that should cover a lot. At least give us a bit of a breathing space. And again, I think we'll be in a lot financially better off than there'll be many more clubs could go bust before we do. And I think if clubs started to go bust, I think something would have to be done quickly to find a way of I don't know. It's a difficult one because you can't just kickstart the season because clubs are going bust. But something would have to be done. I don't know. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Would we get income from the Netflix seasons we've done potentially, like in terms of interest in the club altogether, or is that just completely irrelevant? Like that's just put aside.
I don't know what proportion of finances will come from Netflix. I've got no doubt that the club will have tied up a deal with them, and they'll have. Again, I haven't got a clue what sort of money that would be, but because of Sunderland's exposure around the world, that could increase merchandise and stuff like that, and extra revenue like that. But I can't see it being a game changer in amounts of money. I wouldn't have thought, but I don't know. I'm just surmising. So, anyone else? What was your question again, Sean?
Obviously, that Joshua class was obviously worried about this going bust.
Yeah.
Do you think there's some go?
Right, Michael. What do you think then? Could we go bust? Do you think?
I know we're not in. I know obviously we're not exactly in the league that generates the most income in the world, because obviously if you're looking at Sky money in terms of League One, at best you're going to get 3 games a season on Sky. Maybe more if you're in the playoffs, obviously. But I just think in terms of potentially going bust, I don't think we're in that sort of danger. Although what I would say, the longer we are in League One, the more concerned I will be, because you look at the stadium, the facilities, the infrastructure that's there. That is not League One standard. It's going to cost more than probably what most of your income is going to be to run that. So no, I don't think we're in danger going bust. But the longer we're in this league, I will be concerned for us.
My mistake.
So long as we won't go bust, I wouldn't have thought, but so long as so long as Stuart Donald doesn't try and sell the club for extortion and want an absolute fortune for the club and outprice it to a lot of buyers, then I think we'll be all right, and hopefully we'll sell the club this year. I would love to see sell the club. I don't think we'll go bust at all now. I think there's a lot of clubs. I'd say there's probably 3/4 of the clubs in our league and in the Championship probably worse off than Sunderland.
Jacob?
No, I think we'll be okay, but I just feel like obviously it's like a really sad time for like the game at the moment. Clubs will go bust from this, and like you look at was it South Shields as well? Like their season completely like gone. If South Shields were like in massive financial trouble, would you like to see the club potentially do something to try and like save them from potentially being bust altogether?
So Sean,
we need that for our development.
Sean, your opinion on it?
I'm a little bit worried in the fact that we've got 26,000 season ticket holders. That's a lot of money, and if obviously with this coronavirus going on, there's going to be no fans in the stadium. If the club can't get the money, and we've got a pretty high wage bill, how are we going to pay for that wage bill? I mean, I don't think we'll go bust, because I think, if the worst comes to worst, Donald will probably get a loan. Do you know what I mean? Or was this happening that? But he says we're in a really good financial state, but I still don't believe that as well. But no, I don't think we'll go bust. But I've got a question for you, so I don't know if you've got any more asks.
Yeah, no, go on then, fire away. Oh, hang on, before you do, Mo Diddley on the chat said he would have Coleman's wife back, apparently. Right, go on, Sean.
If rumours are true, that the American investors, FPP, the multi-billionaires, when they looked at buying the club, they're seeing a £20 million hole in the club. Do you think effectively now they have want to buy the club because of Stuart Donald? Do you know?
No, give it to someone else first. I was first last time.
Well, I'll come in with it. I think look at how I say it, and again, nobody's going to know because you don't know exactly what's happened. But it looks to me like they've come in and wanted to buy the club, and I think they've wanted to, when they've wanted to buy it, they've wanted Stuart Donald and the whole regime out. They wanted to buy the club and have full control of it, and that's what they wanted. I think Stuart Donald has wanted to be a part of it, and a condition he was putting in was, well, yes, you can buy it, but I still want to be part of it somehow. And I think they didn't want that. I think they wanted full control, them to have nothing to do with it. And when he's put that into place, I think they've said no. And it's infuriating for me, because then, you know, they've been sniffing around Derby County, and you're thinking, my God, this could have been us.
Exactly.
You know, and Stuart Donald has always said, again, you know, me, you know, I'm the last one to slag Stuart Donald off. I'll, you know, it's not how I see him. However, he always said he wanted what was best for Sunderland Football Club, and if that meant a buyer came in and he had to sell on, then that's what he would do, because he wanted to do what's best for the club. Now, if that's the case, that they wanted to buy the club but without him, and he's refused, then, you know, he's basically gone against what he's basically said to everybody initially. So that's my view on it. Anybody else, Michael?
If that is true, then it is a little bit annoying. But what I would say is that if people are really shirking away from the club because of Stuart Donald's asking price, surely the price, even at Donald's highest, would be pittance compared to what they could be paying for a lot of other clubs. So I'm not entirely sure why they should be put off from it personally. But having said that, wasn't there a whole situation with everything that if Donald, someone's going very right here. If Donald couldn't pay back the loan that he'd been given by FFP, they get the club anyway. What's happened to that then? What's happened to that?
Sorry, Jacob.
No, what Bowers was saying, it's gone a bit quiet on that, because I do agree what he was saying. I think, didn't Stuart Donald say that himself on the radio? I can't remember where he came out and said.
It was on Total Sport, I think.
Yeah.
Many months ago.
And an ideal world, it'll be great if them actually, you know, if they come back into play and they do buy the club, that'd be the best case scenario now. But I'm just hoping that these billionaires from America who's worth 30 odd billion, we could have been the richest club in the world, you know what I mean, potentially, if the St. Donald, and I thought he's trying to pull a fast one here, he's hiding the figures, this, that, and the other, there's 20 million missing, do you know what I mean? And they've went, you know what, no, he's not being truthful.
Well,
if they've done that,
well,
possibly, but couldn't they still get the club anyway, though, even if Donald doesn't pay the loan back? So what's the difference?
Surely it's only 9 million. He'd be able to pay that back. He's not going to let the club go, and do you know what I mean, for 9 million or whatever. He's going to be able to pay that back.
Just very quickly jumping in before we ask Mad Mistake, Michael, have you just put your sunbed on? And Mad Mistake, if you want to reply to that, are you in a comfortable room now to answer?
I'm never comfortable. But if what we fully says is true, that really pisses me off about Stuart Donald. That proves he doesn't have the club at heart. That proves he doesn't care about the fans. That proves that he cares about himself, his self-ego, and that's all he cares about. He wants to be in charge of the club still. He wants to, it's bullshit, absolute bullshit. He couldn't give a shit about the club if that statement, what we fully said there, is true. And that would really piss me off.
Well, I don't know if it is true. It's my opinion on how I see it. I think for them to...
It makes complete sense.
For them to be so interested, set up the company, it looked like it was all systems go and all that, and then all of a sudden they just walk away from it. There's got to be some reason for it, and that's my view on the situation. I don't know. Dino, you have a say on it.
I mean, if that is correct, obviously this is like all these like obviously saying about 20 millions and all that, but is this all like true? Is it all out there openly in the public to see, or is it just rumours? But if it is the case, the fact that the the 20 million's missing and it's not the deal up, well, shame on Stuart and shame on Charlie, because I'm sure Charlie was involved in it as well, wasn't he, at the time?
Yeah.
So,
well, again,
it's shame on them. But
again, at the end of the day, it's all speculation because, you know, nobody knows the true facts. You can read what you want in the paper. You can listen to what Stuart Donald and the likes come out and say, and it's a case of, well, picking through it and trying to work out and piece together the facts for yourself, really. Right.
Well, can I say something?
Yes, go on quickly, because we're gonna wrap it up. Go on.
If you know about when he says if he doesn't pay the 20 million back, then we'll get the club. What makes you think when they look back that they wanted the club? What if they say, "Oh, you can have the club, I can't pay it back"? What if they just went, "Nah, Yaris, no, you can have it."
Well, it was 10 million, but surely for them to this 10 million loan, these are business people. They'll have had something in place where they'll have wanted some sort of collateral or some guarantee, you know, something against lending the 10 million. So, and it could have just been that's what that was. If you can't pay it back, we get the club. Again, who knows? You know, you can only go on what you read in the papers, really. Right, Luke, we're going to wrap this up.
Add one more thing.
Yeah, go on then.
Sorry, the last thing I was just going to add, though, that if Stuart Donald had done such a bad job, FFP wouldn't have been interested in the first place.
Yes, very true. It's you know, he got the club.
Look at Sean's face.
Well, no, he did. He got the club. He got the club to a point where, you know, would FFP been interested, or FPP or wherever they are, would they have been interested under Ellis Short with all the debt and stuff like that? Maybe not. But
I always say if Donald didn't come in, I think we'd be in a worse position under Short.
Yeah,
possibly agree. If Donald didn't come in, we would have probably been worse off for Short.
I think if Ellis Short didn't pay the 152 million debt off, then I don't think anybody would have bought the club, really. So you probably would have had to keep it for the season, but whether or not he would have done a worse job, we'll never know. So.
Yeah, look,
I'll never know. Well, I believe they would have. Well,
you know, you can't. You have to give credit to Ellis Short for writing that off, no matter whether you thought he did a good job or he was absolutely terrible. Credit to him for paying that off. Look, we're going to wrap this up because we're going to have to go and stand on our doorsteps and applaud our key workers and frontline workers in the NHS and do that, which we all need to do on a Thursday. Thanks for joining us. We will be back the same time next week. If you've got any questions midweek, you can contact us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Or if you want to contact any of the lads direct, you can do that. Ask a question. We'll do our best to answer it on here for you next week. But that's about it, fellas. I think that was pretty good. Everybody behaved themselves, apart from the mad mistake who did a tour of his house again.
I did a tour of it, son.
And we'll see you all next week. So thanks very much, lads. We'll see you then. See you. Ta-ra.
Ta-ra, lads. Keep both.
Yeah.
And if anybody wants to buy a house, anyway, mad mistake selling his house. There you go. Okay. All right, cheers, fellas. We'll see you all. We'll see you all next week. I'll speak to you in the week.
See ya.
Ta-ra.
See ya, lads. Ta-ra.
Take care.